commission day. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all you beautiful people that have chosen to join me once more. I am honored to have your presence here. And today you are here for a wonderful event of the week, which is commission time. Yes, so today we have 2 commissions that I am going to just do all the follow-up into my process. Gonna talk to you about what I'm doing in each stage of the process, and then we're going to review at the end, because I think that's like a good fun art vlog. Yeah. All right. So first thing, we have 2 pieces that I got commissioned. Each of them has their special quirks and their specifications by the client that actually asked me for them. So the first one that I'm going to present is this one. If you follow me on Instagram, you have probably seen this already. This is a snake that I did back in Inktober. It's like Inktober day 7 or 8, which is when I actually quit Inktober 2020. Because I was moving into my university halls and all that things, and I just got really stressed and I didn't have actually time, and then I got delayed and then I couldn't actually keep up. So yeah, last piece of Inktober 2020. We're gonna try it again this year. And so someone texted me on Instagram, DM'd me, and asked me if I would sell this actual piece, and I told them that I would love to, however I didn't feel comfortable doing so. It's in my notebook and my journal. It's my sketchbook, so it's got like a lot of like process and like written stuff and sketches, so I didn't really feel very comfortable just giving like pieces of my project away. So I asked them if they would be interested in me doing the exact same piece all over again in a piece of paper that was completely detached from my sketchbook and that I would be okay with selling. And they were like, hell yes, if you think you can make it basically just the same, keeping the colors the same. They really like all like the vibrant greens and just the shading that makes it look like it's popping out. And I was just like, yes, I sure as hell can, and I will. So that is our commission number 1. Commission number 2 is something you've also seen in my Instagram if you follow me, which is this very cute goldfish watercolor. It is also on the background of more stuff in my sketchbook. It's this page. Like, ignore the amount of stuff that is falling as I'm trying to open this, but like it's, you know. Also, other nice watercolor sketches. Hymns of Polaroids falling from my very sketchbook as I open this. Anyway, so this one is a piece that I did in, I think, end of April this year, so it's not that much back. It's like 2 months. However, the snake is from September from last year, so September 2020. So I think like the goldfish, especially because it was a pretty just improvised and flowing piece, is going to be a little bit easier and faster to do than the snake one, because I'm going to have to remember how to actually use the materials again. I've told you that the goldfish are in watercolor, so it's something that I work with very often. However, the snake is in Indian ink, and India ink is something that I use for calligraphy, and for writing letters and all those kinds of like just aesthetic lettering type things. But I don't use it for painting as much, so I have to get comfortable with it again to actually do the piece. So that's something that is going to probably take a little bit of time, but we are in here for the long haul. I am apparently doing 2 detached pieces that are basically recreation of previous pieces, which is exciting because I get to practice and to find out if I still have the same skills or if I've improved. It would be really cool to like at the end just see if actually I was someday able to make something that is even better. But yeah, so we're gonna get started right into the painting process. Stay with me, kids. We're gonna start splashing paint around. Alright guys, so I thought I would start with the goldfish watercolor piece. For some reason in my mind it made a lot of sense that I would be able to get the exact same technique and piece down even though it is like 2 months apart. But yeah, so I ended up trying to get it the first time, but then I realized I needed some more practice to get the whole shading and anatomy of the fish right. So I ended up just doing it as a practice round. Somewhere along the way, I just was looking for reference pictures of the whole color of the fish and just overall the color palette. And I came across this one image that just really gave me like this certain burst of inspiration. So I just started sketching this other idea that I came up with, and it's this jellyfish type based idea. It has different shapes and it's going to be a little bit different when I actually get through with it. It's probably going to be like a later painting. You can see like in the corner of the screen that I had it like the reference image there for a bit. For some reason I think that's Tyler the creator, but like a very heavily edited image. But I will eventually make an art vlog with the painting, providing that I that I actually end up doing it sometime soon. But I will hope so. So then I eventually came back to the old little anatomy sketching sheet that I was doing originally. I'm just getting a little bit looser with putting down the colors and just getting the shapes correctly the first time around. So I thought that I felt prepared enough to jump right into what I thought was hopefully going to be the finished product or the actual commission in case it went well. So you see me just sketching down all the shapes of the fish, and I'm starting with yellow because it's the lightest color that I'm going to use for the fish themselves, and just getting their little shapes kind of like just nice and tidy. Goldfish just have such a freaking funny shape, man. They look like little teardrops, like little teardrops, or like just little like cylinders, yes, or like oval shaped thingies. Like they are really funny. So then I just started going over it with an orange, just like a light orange type shade, and then I went with darker orange to just kind of sketch out where the shading was going to be, and just did it gradually, just added as I felt like it. And my brushwork was a lot more expressive in this one than it was in the original piece, which was more like just blobs of color. But I thought it was quite important, and it just like was flowing this way, so I just respected that. And the client also was okay with the piece being slightly different and altered. They just wanted the original theme and type of material and color to just be the same, and the feel of the piece. So I think that was accomplished. So I started doing the background color with a pink wash of watercolor, and then I started using a little bit of blue to add in and mix purple. And I just darkened it little by little, just saturating more the color until I felt like it was all good. And then at the end I thought I would leave some just light pink space around the little goldfish, just to give them a little bit of that glow effect. And I finished by adding little dots or shading where the eyes would be. Alright, so starting the second event of the day, I started by obviously sketching out the exact same design of the snake, same position, just put down all the important marks, and then I just erased some of the lines, which I actually realized was completely necessary because they're going to be completely covered by ink. So I just went back into putting my drops of Indian ink. I'm using the 3 shades that I mentioned previously, and you can see that I'm using some saran wrap or film wrap, I don't know what you call it where you live, on the floor, and that's where I'm mixing my colors with water.
India ink works kind of the same as watercolor. It is water soluble, and you mix it with water to thin it out. The only difference is it dries a lot quicker. So it is really recommendable that you start very, very, very light, and that you just gradually add on top of it using loads of water to just blend it very, very nicely. And I'm just using the green for this part, just on where the green spots of the snake are going to be. And incidentally, I'm using it to also shade, so I'm just putting down very dark layers of green where it is going to be like very dark and shaded, and I am just leaving it open for further build up on top of that. So then I went on and painted the tongue, which is noticeably just thinned out red, and it makes the pink. And I went into the shading. The shading was basically just a mix of red and blue, which made the purple. I figured out when I was doing October last year that I could actually make almost completely. I could just make a complete illustration with these three colors of India ink, except when I wanted more vibrant colors that included yellow. But other than that, I could completely work with that. And so my shading is always done with shades of purple, and my black is just a mix of all the colors that I have. And you can also see that I was starting very, very light, and I was just applying very slight shading in the places where I knew it was going to be necessary. And I just decided at some point while doing that it would be better if I just put down all the places where it was going to be just pitch black, just to help me with my contrast. It's really important when you're working with very dark blacks in your illustration, or when the figure you're drawing is in the dark, to just lay down the background as a way to know how dark the background and everything that envelops the figure is going to be, because it really, really influences the color. Um, it's very important because the perception of color that we have as humans actually changes depending on what colors are next to the ones we put down. So the fact that the background it was actually black then helped me just look at it and realize that I needed to put on darker shades, and this way I can do so knowing exactly how the environment around the snake was going to turn out in the end. So I'm just slowly blending more and more of the purple shade. You can see me just repeatedly just making it on the side, and I'm just slowly applying it to everywhere where it's going to be shaded. And I am blending it from dark to the lighter colors using loads and loads and loads of water, and trying to take it very, very slowly. I'm also adding more purple in the places where it's only white, instead of putting it directly into also the green spots, because those ones already have some shading. So I wanted to keep the mix kind of minimal as to not bring any leftover green paint into the white parts as I brushed past it back and forth to blend. I'm also yeah, this is me wiping my brushes a little bit. So I thought at this point it would be interesting to just add in the very, very bright green. The bright green is the one thing that I'm using in watercolor. This is made with the Van Gogh watercolors that I used for the goldfish drawing as well. And I'm just applying it until it's very, very saturated, trying to keep it a little bit lighter in the parts where the light is hitting in the snake. And I'm also using a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red for the eyes. And I thought I would also go in and do my line work, just lining very, very softly all the important marks. In the original snake piece, I actually laid down the spots of the snake kind of heavily in my Chinese brush marker, but I actually felt like it would be more interesting to just add very thin lines in my brush pen, and that way it just accentuates all the little spots. And then I just finished by laying on another layer of very dark black, thus making it very saturated and just helping all the colors of the snake look vibrant and give it more depth, looking like it's just popping out of the page.
Alright, so time to review now, I guess, right? So firstly, I would like to apologize. I would love to be able to just compare side by side both of the original pieces and the remade results, but I actually had to ship them before I got the chance to get this video done. So we're going to have to settle by comparing side-by-side pictures, which you have probably already seen in my Instagram in case you follow me there. If you don't, go ahead. It's noxcroll.art. You can find me really easily. And yeah, so we're going to just look at them side by side, and I just wanted to do a little reflection on differences and things that happen in the process that might be worth pointing out. So I'm going to scoot to this side and give a little space to just put the other boys here. So we're going to start with the fish. So obviously the composition changed a lot since the whole commission had been a little bit loose, so I just had to get the basic colors and elements there, and the client was pretty interested in just having a little bit more animals there, more fish, and they just really liked the whole more line worky look of it that I did with the brushes and stuff, just being more just blobs of paint. That's what that the original had, and I think it's thorough. Just it's a balanced composition. I had more opportunities to sketch goldfish in different types of positions, so it's overall just a really cool piece to experiment with. And I think it turned out really cool. The background colors are actually, even in my opinion, like I like the ones in the remake way better. They're just more intense and they contrast with the colors of the goldfish, and I think they just turned out really wonderful. But it would be lovely to also hear all your opinions about the remade or the original, which ones you like the most, or anything that you'd like to point out about it. And the snake one. The snake one, I am super proud of myself because I think they look basically like a print of one and the other. Obviously the layout is a little bit different, and the cropping of the page is also different because, you know, just it's not in a part of a sketchbook, so detachable. But the black of the background, super crisp, super saturated. It was so hard to actually get a good picture of the snake, for the simple reason that India ink, when you build it up like a lot, just starts getting shiny. Like this board right behind me that has spray paint on it, just it gets shiny. Oh look, that's actually the good angle. But it's just really hard to get like a good angle that had light to make the colors of the green pop, but also like that didn't make all the black shine, since it has like 3 different layers of black. And the reason why I did that is because when you mix India ink together, it either makes it a little bit, so it's gonna be purple, but like the purple is either a little bit more reddish or a little bit bluer. So what I did was I actually did one layer of more red purple, and then I did another one of bluish one, and it just made it super crisp and super saturated, and it just looks like flat out black. And that's something that I really like because it just adds the contrast and builds it up really nicely. And the other thing that I find that I was also better in this piece is also the fact that the original one has the line work in black around the spots of the snake, which actually I laid pretty heavily. And in this one I wanted to focus in doing it a lot lighter, so it would actually just accentuate the difference between the white and the green spots, and obviously just to be just a very light definition around of every part of the snake, but not to the point that it is imposing and being another element to interpret when you look at it. And I think that worked wonderfully, and it's just a lot more delicate but still does the trick. So those are two aspects that I think just turned out really amazing. I would hate to pick between one of them because I think in each their own way there's a learning curve, and they are both really, really interesting. So I'm really glad that I got to do these, and I'm really glad that, because I had actually never thought that I could just like go back into my sketchbooks and just redraw things that I had done previously and see if I could make them better or like kind of redesign the ideas. But that's actually such a cool concept, and I might actually just make a lot more art with it. So I'm really glad that these people, bless them, commissioned these artworks, because it is actually a great moment for me to put my skills into practice and challenge myself. So yeah, I just want to thank, if the people that ordered these two commissions are watching this, thank you so much for the opportunity. And to everyone else, I hope that you enjoyed the time lapses and of me painting all these pieces. I hope that it was informative, that you learned something, and it is really, really nice to have you here with me once more. Take a look at my other videos if you haven't even seen it yet. Give me a follow on my Instagram to check out what I'm up to and what kind of things I'm drawing before I drop them in videos. And if you have any idea of things that you would like to commission me, DM me on my Instagram, or if you want to give any video ideas, drop it in the comments, text me on Instagram. My channel of communication is right open. So yeah, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and yeah, go out there, do something creative and stay inspired. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.